The Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion brought back every major issue that had been building all season, and instead of giving fans a simple ending, it opened even more questions. After months of arguments, broken friendships, and serious accusations, everyone came to the reunion ready to defend their side of the story. The biggest thing viewers noticed was that almost every person on that stage believed they were right. Everyone had their own memories, their own reasons, and their own version of what really happened. But when different versions of the same story collide, the truth becomes harder to find. From the very beginning, the energy was already tense. The reunion did not feel like a place where everyone came to make peace. It felt like a place where old problems were finally being brought back into the spotlight. One of the first major conversations focused on Nell and the issues surrounding Tisha's party. This moment had already created a lot of discussion during the season, but the reunion gave everyone a chance to explain what they really meant and why they reacted the way they did. Nell made it clear that she was not going to apologize for standing up for what she believed was right. According to her, she felt like certain lines were crossed, and she reacted because she believed she had to protect her relationship and her family. For Nell, the situation was not just about one conversation or one event. She felt like there was a bigger pattern happening. She believed there were moments where respect was missing, and once respect is gone, it becomes difficult to move forward. But others on the stage did not see it the same way. Some felt Nell's reaction was too strong, and that the situation could have been handled differently. They questioned whether the response matched the problem or whether emotions took control. This is where the reunion showed one of its biggest themes. Many of these arguments were not only about what happened in that moment, they were about years of feelings that had been building underneath. During the discussion, Tisha made comments about people knowing things but choosing not to say them. That statement immediately grabbed attention because many viewers felt there was more behind those words. The question became simple. If someone has information that could clear things up, why keep it hidden? Destiny quickly questioned that idea. She wanted to understand why people would bring up having information about someone's husband or relationship if they had no plans to actually talk about it. For Destiny, this kind of behavior creates more problems because it makes people feel like secrets are being used as weapons during arguments, and that became one of the biggest issues throughout the reunion. It was not only about what people knew, it was about when they chose to reveal it, and why. Tisha defended herself by explaining that she often feels like she becomes the person everyone attacks. She believes she is judged more harshly than others, and that people do not always see her side. But Destiny pushed back against that idea. She felt that accountability matters, and that everyone has to look at their own actions, not only the actions of others. Their conversation showed how difficult their friendship had become. Both women felt hurt. Both women felt misunderstood. And both women seemed to believe the other person was the reason things fell apart. Instead of creating a moment where they finally moved forward, the conversation showed that there were still many unresolved feelings between them. Sometimes friendships do not end because of one huge event. Sometimes they fall apart because small problems continue growing until there is too much damage to ignore. That seemed to be the situation here. The reunion then moved into another major conflict involving Nell and Kimmy. Throughout the season, the tension between these two women had been obvious. Their disagreements were not small, and by the time they reached the reunion stage, it was clear that both sides had a lot to say. Nell explained that she felt disrespected by members of both Scott families. She believed there were moments where comments went too far, and that she had reached a point where she could no longer ignore it. From Nell's point of view, the issue was not simply people disagreeing with her. She felt the real problem was the way people spoke to her. For her, respect matters, and once she feels someone has crossed that line, it becomes very difficult for her to pretend everything is fine. Kimmy, however, saw things differently. She felt Nell's approach was too aggressive, and that the way she communicated created more conflict instead of solving anything. Kimmy believed there were better ways to have conversations without raising emotions to that level. But many viewers pointed out something important. Both sides have had moments where emotions became intense. This is why the reunion became so interesting. Everyone remembered what was done to them, but not everyone wanted to talk about what they did to others. That became a repeated pattern during the entire conversation. People often remember the pain they received, but sometimes forget the pain they caused. And when that happens, finding a real solution becomes almost impossible. The reunion also brought up one of the biggest topics fans had been waiting for: the rumors and questions that have followed the Scott family for years. When the conversation moved toward claims about secrets, loyalty, and possible hidden information, the mood changed immediately. Everyone knew this was the discussion many viewers wanted to see. The questions were not new. The rumors were not new. But fans wanted answers. When questions were asked about NDAs and the idea of keeping certain situations private, the responses became very careful. Instead of giving simple yes or no answers, the discussion moved into explanations about why agreements exist and how people choose to handle private matters. Technically, answers were given. But many viewers felt the answers did not fully address the questions being asked. And that difference matters. Sometimes the biggest reaction comes not from what someone says, but from what they avoid saying. The reunion showed that clearly. People watching at home were trying to understand what was real, what was rumor, and what was simply a misunderstanding. But the more the conversation continued, the more it became clear that trust was the biggest issue. Trust between cast members, trust inside relationships, and trust between the cast and the viewers. Then the conversation shifted when Martell became involved. As expected, the energy changed. Martell has always been someone who speaks his mind, especially when the conversation becomes uncomfortable. During this reunion, he continued that same pattern. The discussion quickly became intense as different people questioned each other's stories and motives. The interesting part was not only the accusations themselves, it was the reactions. Some people looked surprised, some looked uncomfortable, and others looked like they had already heard everything before. That made viewers wonder even more. Because sometimes reactions tell their own story. At that moment, the reunion became bigger than just one argument. It became about credibility. Who do people believe? Who has been honest? And who has controlled the story? Those questions stayed in the air even after the conversation moved on. The reunion showed that when trust is damaged, even the simplest explanation can become difficult to accept. And that is exactly why so many of these issues continue to come back. As the reunion continued, the conversation became less about one single argument and more about years of problems that had never really been solved. Every topic seemed connected to another issue, and every answer created another question. That is what made this reunion different from a normal disagreement. It was not just about one person being right and another person being wrong. It was about different people holding on to different versions of the same events. One of the most talked about parts of the reunion was the discussion around marriage, loyalty, and the pressure that comes with being in the public eye. The cast members have spent years showing parts of their lives on television. Viewers have seen their businesses, their families, their friendships, and their struggles. But when serious questions come up, the line between private life and public life becomes complicated. Some people believe that if you choose to share your life on television, you should be prepared to answer difficult questions. Others believe that even reality television stars still deserve some privacy. That difference in opinion has caused many conflicts on the show. The reunion made that very clear. A major conversation also focused on Maurice and the questions surrounding his DUI-related incident. When the topic came up, the room became serious because fans had been waiting to hear more about what happened. Maurice gave his explanation and talked about the situation from his point of view. He explained that there were factors involved that affected how the situation looked from the outside. But once again, the audience was left deciding what they believed. This has been one of the biggest challenges for the cast throughout the season. When a situation happens, there are usually different sides. The person involved sees one thing. The people around them may see something else. And viewers watching from home create their own opinions based on what they are shown. That is why reality television can become so complicated. People are not only reacting to events, if,